Hello everybody. Today we will be installing our first React project from scratch. You might have heard React's name being thrown around. It's quite popular at the moment. One of the reasons we're going to be installing React and working with it today is mostly for the performance benefits it has when you have a page that changes frequently. So in a React application, you have something called a virtual DOM, which is, we can imagine, just a layer on top of our HTML code. And what it mostly helps us do is that instead of re-rendering the whole page every time a change happens, it helps us only re-render that specific portion of the page. And that way making our load times much faster on an application that we're going to change many states or components on a single page. So before we can get started on building a React application, we're going to need some dependencies. Mostly we're going to need Node and Npm. And we can install Node.js, and Node.js comes bundled both with Node and Npm. We can find that on their official website. By the way, guys, any of the links I talk about today can be found in the description down below. But yeah, so we're just going to come to Node.js, their official website. You can come down here and click download, and the page is probably going to render depending on the system you're on. You just follow the installer, click next, and then you'll have Node.js installed. Alternatively, you can also install Node.js through the command line via a package manager. For example, I'm on a Mac, so I will be using Homebrew. And if I wanted to install Node, I would just type in brew install Node. And over here, we can see I already have Node installed, so it's telling me the version number. And then to confirm we have all our installed dependencies, all we need to run is node tacv, and npm tacv, and finally npx tacv. And you can see all these gave their respective version numbers. Your version numbers probably won't be the same as mine, but as long as you're getting some output, we know we have installed all the dependencies correctly. So once those are installed, we can begin by creating our first application. And we first start off by navigating to the directory where we want to create our application. For me, it's just under a folder I created called websites. For you, it can be anywhere, but the directory location does not matter too much. So we can begin by creating our application by typing in npx create react app, and then followed by the name of our application. So for example, I'll just call it test app, for example. And now it's gonna, and let's press yes for install. Now this may take a minute or two, and basically create React app is an npm package, and it's expected to be only run once for each project to be set up, to set up the boilerplate for our React app. Since we only expect it to run once, it's better to use npx versus npm to ensure the latest version of all the build tools are generated for the boilerplate without us having to download or upgrade all the packages beforehand. So that took about a minute to install all the packages and directories, but now that it is set up, we should go inside the created directory by executing change directory / test app. There you go. And now we are inside our React application, or inside the folder of our application. So once we're inside of here, we want to open up this workspace in your code editor. I will be using Visual Studio. If you want to download that and you don't have that already, you can come to this link here. Again, link will be in the description down below, and download it for yourself. So once that is downloaded, you want to open up this workspace in your editor. And if you have Visual Studio, an easy way to do that is just by typing in code and then period to indicate the current directory you want to open up. So now this is going to launch Visual Studio. Okay, now that we have opened up our directory inside our code editor, we come here to the left-hand side, and we can see here an app.js, and this will be the backbone for our React application. So great, we got that there. So now to ensure that we create our application correctly, we can start up the website on our own machine locally. And we can do this by going inside of the React app directory and running npm start. So you could do this by going into the command line here where we were earlier and running it from here. However, if you are using a code editor with an integrated terminal, for example, like Visual Studio is, it is usually a lot more convenient. Let's then begin by entering in npm start. And this will start up the server, and by default, it will be set to run on localhost 3000. So it should open up in your default browser either a new tab or a new window, like this that open up here on my other monitor. And if you see the React homepage here, then we know we have successfully set up and installed our first React application. Just to recap what we've done so far in this video, we installed the required dependencies of Node, npm, and npx. We created a React application through npx and the create React app repo. We went inside our newly created application and opened up the workspace in the editor of our choice. And then we confirmed it was installed correctly by running it locally using npm start. If you guys found this helpful and informative, please like and subscribe, and enjoy building your first React application.